Join the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Hold on a sec. You got it, I think.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, thank everyone for being on time today. Thank you.
You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
After he says,
You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Good morning, everyone. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Empire State New Market Corporation for Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. I'd like to note for the record, this meeting is being webcast and I will be the acting chair for today's meeting. I also note for the record that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments by 4:30 p.m. Thursday. I'd like to state for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of today's meeting, I'd like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. If so, I would ask you please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time, and we will make sure that you recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to such item or items. All right, hearing none. The first item on today's agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 20th, 2023 Directors Meeting. Are there questions, comments, additions, or deletions?
None.
All right, if not, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, the motion carries. I'd also now like to call on John Evan Hornsby to present the next item on today's agenda, which is the authorization to adopt the general project plan for the Flanagan Square mixed-use development. John Evan.
Thank you, Kevin, and good morning, all. Empire State New Market Corporation requests approval to allocate up to $10 million in federal New Markets tax credits for the purpose of enabling the subsidiary community development entity to make loans to Flanagan Square ESG Partners, LLC, to finance the development of approximately 60,000 square feet of commercial space, including a grocery store, fitness gym, daycare center, healthcare facility, and other retail and commercial service space, and 72 mixed-income housing units in Troy, New York, and to delegate authority to the president of ESNMC and his designee to take any and all actions with respect to such allocation of NMTCs, the final terms of all transaction documents, and the closing of the transaction. Started in 1997 by Kevin Beatty, First Columbia LLC, the project sponsor is a real estate development, advisory, investment, and property management firm based in the Capital Region. First Columbia has developed 10 million square feet throughout the Northeast, including major corporate buildings, office campuses, master plan communities, medical complexes, and high-tech facilities. And I would like to note that First Columbia is landlord to a few ESD offices, including the Capital District Regional Office in Troy. The project is phase 3 of First Columbia's Waterfront Development Master Plan. The goal of the plan is to help the city of Troy continue to grow economic development by adding jobs, amenities, and housing so that distressed neighborhoods can rebalance their housing stock values and attract further investment around sites catalyzed by First Columbia projects. In addition to the project scope that ESNMC is seeking approval to finance, Phase 3 also includes construction of 150 senior and veteran affordable and mixed income housing units at an adjacent property. The proposed financing is recommended for multiple reasons. The investment is generally consistent with the ESNMC strategy proposed to the CDFI fund. ESNMC's strategy is to invest in transactions that create quality jobs by growing the manufacturing base, particularly in small upstate low-income communities, revitalize downtowns and small rural towns, and increase access to essential goods and services, especially in communities of color that have faced decades of underinvestment. The project fits well with this strategy as it will help revitalize a highly distressed downtown community, provide affordable and healthy food to a low-income community in a food desert, as well as other commercial goods and services, and provide health and wellness as well as daycare services to a low-income community. The project's community outcomes are compelling and are consistent with ESNMC's NMTC application and community outcome objectives. The project is in a highly distressed location, in a food desert, a medically underserved area, and an opportunity zone. The project will create approximately 91 permanent full-time jobs. 67 or 74% are estimated to be quality jobs that pay a living wage and receive benefits. 65 or 71% are estimated to be accessible jobs available to people without a college degree or that face other barriers to entry. The project is also expected to create 80 temporary construction jobs. The project will bring a grocery store, rock climbing gym, healthcare services, daycare, and other community and retail services, supporting an estimated 43,000 visits annually, 50% of whom will be low-income people. And the project includes a lease with a minority-controlled nonprofit grocery store. The project was recommended by the ESNMC Project Review Committee and approved by the ESNMC Advisory Board in June. The project has significant local, regional, and state support. ESD is expected to provide $5.7 million. And I'll note that the materials indicate $4.7 or $4.2 million, but it's $5.7 million in grants toward the mixed-use development that ESNMC is financing, and an additional grant of up to $1 million for the other residential portions of the development. The project, as well as additional phases of development, is part of Troy's Downtown Revitalization Initiative. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Any questions, comments from the directors?
John, up in the 5.7 in ESD grants, was that via the Downtown Revitalization Initiative process? Was that part of that plan, or is that just separate from that?
That's part of the plan, yes.
Thanks.
John Evan, on that point, I think the number is 6.7.
Correct, Kevin. Yeah, so the 5.7 will be used towards our portion of the project, the mixed-use project, and then an additional $1 million will be for the 150 senior and veteran housing units. So it'll be separate from our portion of the project.
Okay. So towards this portion of the project, 5.7, and then $1 million of that 6.7 is going to the other phase of the project.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the directors?
Jonathan, the tenants, I think are they identified for the gym, the daycare, and the healthcare facility yet?
So for the gym, it's actually a rock climbing gym. It's going to be controlled or operated by Central Rock Gym. The daycare facility, it's TSL Kids Crew. It's a local daycare facility. They'll operate or kind of service about 90 kids or so. And the healthcare is identified as like a primary care facility. The tenant hasn't been identified, but that's they're looking for a primary care facility. So it's smaller. It's like a 3,000 square foot primary care facility.
Okay. And I don't think I saw in the materials the square footage of the residential portion of the project. Do you have that on hand?
Yeah, so the square footage for the residential portion will be about 68,000 square feet or so.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public. I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. John Evan will present the next and final item on today's agenda, which relates to the request for authorization to adopt the proposed general project plan for the 3 food stores, the Bogota project. John Evan.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. So Empire State New Market Corporation requests approval to allocate up to $10.5 million in federal New Markets tax credits for the purpose of enabling the subsidiary community development entity to make small loans in the amount of $4 million or less, as defined by the CDFI fund, to 3 separate borrowers to finance the construction, renovation, and/or equipment purchase at 3 Bogota food stores in Brooklyn, New York, and to delegate authority to the president of ESNMC and his designee to take any and all action with respect to such allocation of NMTCs, the terms of all transaction documents, and closing the transaction. The project sponsor, Bogota Enterprises, Inc., is a minority family-owned company that started in 1988 by catering to lower-income, highly densely populated areas that did not have access to grocery stores, and continues to serve these communities today. Bogota now operates 31 full-service supermarkets serving New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. The supermarkets operate under the Food Bazaar brand. The project consists of the construction, renovation, and/or equipment purchase of 3 Bogota food stores in highly distressed, low-income communities in Brooklyn, New York. All stores are in NYC fresh zones, which were established to encourage stores in underserved communities to provide a full range of grocery products, including fresh meat, fruit, and vegetables. The project is expected to retain and create 349 permanent full-time jobs. The 3 stores are collectively expected to receive 3 million visits annually, including approximately 2 million visits from low-income people annually. All of these stores are located in highly distressed communities with high poverty rates, low area median incomes, and/or high unemployment rates. ESNMC will provide up to $4 million in NMC allocation to renovate an existing outdated and dilapidated 46,000 square foot store on Junius Street in Brooklyn, up to $4 million in NMC allocation to equip a new 35,000 square foot store, which is part of a larger mixed-use development that includes housing above the food store on Myrtle Avenue in Brooklyn, and up to $2.5 million in NMCC allocation to equip an existing 46,000 square foot store on Wyckoff Avenue in Brooklyn with upgraded equipment. The proposed financing is recommended for multiple reasons. The investment is generally consistent with the ESNMC strategy proposed to the CD5 fund. Part of ESNMC strategy is to invest in transactions that increase access to essential goods and services, especially in communities of color that have faced decades of underinvestment. ESNMC also indicated that it would dedicate 34% of its NMTC award to finance non-real estate uses, such as machinery and equipment and related costs. In addition, ESNMC committed to dedicating at least 20% of its NMTC award to make small loans, those of $4 million or less, to businesses. The project fits well with this strategy as it brings quality food options to underserved low-income communities that are located in NYC fresh zones, will allow ESNMC to provide $6.5 million in NMTC allocation to finance non-real estate uses, and all 3 loans are small loans that are $4 million or less, fulfilling ESNMC's 20% small loan requirement. The project's community outcomes are compelling and are consistent with ESNMC's NMTC application and community outcome objectives. The project will create and retain 349 quality and accessible jobs across all 3 stores. All non-managerial positions are union jobs, receive comprehensive benefits, and receive on-the-job training, and all jobs are available to people without a college degree or that face barriers to entry. The project will serve a total of 3 million people annually across all 3 stores, 68% of whom are low income. All stores are in NYC fresh zones, as I indicated previously, and the project sponsor is minority owned. The project was recommended by the ESNMC Project Review Committee and approved by the ESNMC Advisory Board in June. Thank you, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Donovan. Any questions or comments from the directors?
Hi, Jonathan. The Junius store, is that open now? Or is that they're doing a renovation to an operating store?
Yeah, it is. It is open, and during the renovation, it will actually remain open. They'll do the renovation in phases.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
That's true for the Wyckoff store as well?
The Wyckoff store as well. Yeah, they'll swap out the equipment in phases as well. The Myrtle store is almost complete. They plan to open that in September or so, but it's we actually toured it yesterday, and it's looking really, really good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or questions? As noted earlier, we do not have comments from the public. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second?
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Just want to thank John Evan and the EST team members that support the ESNMC work, and Yvonne Cooper for her work organizing the meeting. Now, there being no further business, I will call for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion?
Second.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.